Hello, dear friends. We are going to discuss the key theoretical dimensions being discussed in this particular editorial, and then we'll find out certain examples which we can use when we are writing any answer related to theory or any questions which can be framed in the key issues being discussed in this editorial. So, this is how we are going to utilize this piece of content. Now, understand one thing, that when we explore the theories, our key idea is this, that whenever developments are taking place, we should focus on the theoretical dimension, because it is the most static thing, the most important and conceptual thing which you should use in your answer. So theories are the analytical tools, or I would rather say this is some kind of academic explanation of all the development taking place, and they help us to make sense of those development. So we look at world politics through the various theoretical lenses. So these are the lenses by which we see that, and we get empowered to explain those development. So they provide presuppositions and assumptions for making sense of global affairs. Theories attempt to give shape and structure to otherwise shapeless and confusing reality. So this is how we should understand this thing, and we must understand one thing, that these theories are, they presume and they give certain assumptions, and it is their stand. They are not some kind of objective truth. These are just particular lenses to explain those IR development. Now, when you explore the key conflicts and competitions being given in this editorial, you try to link with the realist theory, and here there are certain dimensions in this particular framework where you can apply the post-colonial approach to study IR as well. Now, there is, see, the essence of this editorial is this, that USA and China, they are having some kind of bonhomie, they are improving their relations. So the China and Russia. So in these power dynamics, India must prepare itself for any kind of change in the balance of power. So balance of power in Eurasia, it is Russia which is the balancing power. Now what happens when balance of power breaks down? It results into the war. So maintaining balance of power is prerequisite for maintaining peace in international relations as per realist theory. So this is one particular dimensions. Now we need to maintain our relations with Russia in a very cordial manner so that we can maintain the balance of power. Now India reducing the impact of power imbalance through the external cooperations. Even if the Russia is getting closer to the China, we can also explore other cooperative arrangements where we can balance this kind of dynamic. So these arguments reflect that. Now accelerating its own rise, it means that we have to consolidate, or we have to enhance our own national power. It's reflect the concept of self-help, that we have to develop our own capacities if we want to offset the different kind of challenges emanating from the various power dynamics taking place in international politics. Now coming to the balance of power, this is also a realist. Now in this particular argument, if you read the editorial, there is this argument that since 1980s, China relative powers has grown rapidly against every other actor in the system, international system. Now there is question about relative power. So when the relative gain is taking place, realists, they become very concerned about this thing. They don't want any actors to gain relative power. So this is a chief concern. That is why they create self-help ecosystem, and they create certain kind of alliances to balance the power. Now there is one argument you will find in the editorial, that is the idea of strategic autonomy carries a political content that has always been about maintaining distance from the West. It means that this idea or the concept of strategic autonomy, it has a political content that reflects the post-colonial approach to study IR, which says that we must not focus on the Eurocentric explanations. This is what this talks about, that maintaining distance from the West, that Western ideas, Western way of looking at things. That is what this post-colonial theory says. What it says, it fills many gaps in Eurocentric constructions of world politics. That what Eurocentric theories talks about world politics, they bring different alternative explanations. making people and ideas associated with the former colonies more visible, more audible, and more influential. So they may get their uh, respective place in the world politics. That is the essence of post colonial theories. Now, coming to the cooperation and collaboration side, so chief ideologies are liberal, neoliberal, and functionalism. So US moving from confrontation to stabilization of ties with China. Why they are doing that? Because they are rational actors. They see that benefit is going to happen when we create some kind of cooperation and collaboration. That is what liberal says, that cooperation can be achieved through the non-cohesive bargaining based on the identification of mutual interest. So this G2 dynamics, they are identifying their mutual interest and they are bargaining and then creating interest based coalitions. Now neoliberals, they focus and they give importance to the trade and economic components, and then they go for the cooperative behavior. This is the neoliberal assumptions. Now there is one particular argument which you see in the editorial, that is focus on deeper technology cooperation with USA and EU. So this is what India is doing. So we are enhancing cooperation in one functional area, and this is what is the essence of functionalism, that building piece by pieces. Now you consolidate your cooperation in one area, and then you are going to create the broader arrangements and resulting into the broader regional cooperation. So EU, ASEAN, SAARC, these are the result of building piece by pieces. Now what it says, what is the essence, key issues being discussed in this editorial. So the one chief component is this, that China is a major challenge we are facing in Asian geopolitical theater. So what are those things? That China India's principal challenge in the both economic and geopolitical political terms, along with disputed and tension prone boundary, China's growing influence in India's neighborhood, expanding Chinese footprint in global institutions. So all these are all the challenges we are getting from the China. Trade deficit about 110 billion, rooted in India's deepening dependence on Chinese manufacturing good. And also we are being what to say, the victim of weaponization of interdependence. China's economy is today 5 times larger. So these are the key uh, challenges, key issues we see from the China. Now disparity in higher education, research and development, technology and military capability is widening. So these are the development we should be focusing upon, and we should focus on enhancing our own capacities to deal with the rise of China. So what are going to be the implication for India? India should not be rattled by every change in great power relations. So when these great power relations are evolving, suppose USA and China, they are getting together, this dynamics of G20 is evolving. So now question can come up, like these are the dynamics taking place in international politics. How India should respond to such kind of coalitions or such kind of power politics? This can be the our question. So USA, China, and China, Russia. So these are the great power relations. We must not get rattled by or being bogged down by such kind of development. We can create our own coalitions. We can create our own cooperative arrangements. Dealing with changing dynamics is part of national mandate. We supposed to do this. This is what the Indian foreign policy is all about. We see these kind of challenges and we prepare ourselves for such kind of the challenges. Real challenge for India is addressing the consequences of China's rise and assertion. This is what is the essence of this entire editorial. That real challenge is how China is growing, how China is developing and enhancing its capacity. So the relative gain of China is threatening us. So this is what we are really concerned about, not these kind of bonhomie, these kind of power, great power relations. They keep changing on. Now India should focus on its own modernization. We should focus on self-help. We have to do this. So if we modernize, if we enhance the skills of our own labor power, if we consolidate our manufacturing sector, developing our military industrial complex, so these could be the things which can help us to modernize our own economy and our military. India cannot close the gap with China anytime soon. It is not going to happen in near future, but we should, initiate the process for doing this. It can reduce the impact of power imbalance through external cooperation that reinforces internal self strengthening. So both things will go together, hand in hand. That we must initiate the external cooperation that can come through the Quad or PEX Silica. These kind of cooperation should be happening. We should also create coalition with ASEAN, and still we should work on the internal self strengthening. Now, India, what is India's current approach? So the author says that despite maintaining its rhetoric about strategic autonomy, India fought to preserve its trade relationship with US and has pushed hard for trade deal with EU and has focused on the deeper technology cooperation with both. So now, even though we are facing challenge from the Western powers, but we still we are engaging with them. We are still, because our stakes are too much in these economies. So India has actually sustained several rounds of official consultation with Quad partners. We are constantly engaging with Quad partners because they are very crucial when we see the changes taking place in Indo-Pacific theater or in Asian dynamics. Quad is very essential platform for securing India's interest. Now, India should assess USA. So, what are the sessions given by the author? That India should assess USA changing approach to alliances and develop a productive and sustainable agenda for Quad through the constructive dialogues. So we should engage with the Quad partners, and we should, create some kind of sustainable approach within the ambit of Quad. Strong imperative for the revigorating Quad for building a multipolar Asia amid and intensifying challenges from China. So ultimately, the author is focusing that we should consolidating the Quad platform. So this was today's editorial. I hope you enjoyed this. Focus on the theory linkage. Focus on the utilizing the examples being discussed. Focus on the key issue. So the key issue was the evolving new power dynamics, that is G20, G2, between India, USA and China, and China, Russia, bonhomie, and it is creating some kind of challenges to the India. So thank you, dear friends.